Hello friends, I'm Rakhi Kishore on Cuckoo FM and you are listening to the audiobook biography of Albert Einstein. E is equal to mc square. People can often be seen wearing t-shirts with this equation, or you might have seen its posters in the rooms of your nerdy friends. Though people might not really know what it means, it is extremely popular in pop culture. The one who made this concept popular with this theory of relativity still trends in discussions even after 8 decades of his passing away. A few students are his devotees, a few others curse him. The world of science is moving forward thanks to this legend. His name is Albert Einstein. As said before, his most popular equation is E is equal to mc square. Its popularity can be traced to the atomic bomb detonated in Hiroshima. Atomic bomb could be discovered thanks to this equation. It is ironic that this great discovery was put to create a slew of disasters, but it is pertinent to mention that he was always against such devastation. He always did everything from a humanitarian perspective and for the well-being of one and all. He was of the opinion that one must always be in quest of knowledge. He had a checkered life and saw many ups and downs, but he faced every challenge with strong determination. To learn about his psychology and the inspiration behind his discovery, one must study his life right from his childhood to his last days. Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in Ulm. His family and relatives were rather anxious and worried at the time of his birth. The reason behind it is he was supposed to be the first son of his family. Albert's father, Hermann Einstein, named him in the memory of his late father. He wanted the name of his son to resemble with that of his father. The unique thing about his birth was that the size of his head was disproportionately large compared to his body. As he grew older, it became insignificant, but his forehead remained wide. The place where he was born had a special feature to it. The inhabitants of the city Ulm invariably went on to become mathematicians. Albert very much continued this tradition. His family was also pretty unique. His near and dear ones inhabited the different nooks and corners of the world. They stayed in different states and cities of Europe. Hence, he could get assistance from his family at different stages of his life. As they say, no matter how much you fight with your family, ultimately they are the ones who come to your rescue. Moving on, we shall see how his maternal uncle Caesar Koch gave him financial assistance to ensure that he completed his education, and his aunt who lived in Italy also had a major role to play in his life. Albert's education was financed by her. It is but obvious that Albert's large family was a blessing to him. People are still grappling with joining the dots regarding the family to which Albert's sharp mind can be traced to. It is commonly believed that he used to get assistance from his father and mother with regards to mathematics and music respectively. But Einstein cleared the air regarding the speculations and told that he was successful because of his quest for knowledge and hard work. When Albert was 6 years of age, his family was thrust with a big responsibility, like any other family, selection of his school. It turned out to be challenging to this family because they were Jews. They were staying in Munich at this time, where only 1 in 50 used to be a Jew, owing to which the private school of Jews was closed in the year 1872. Hence, his family enrolled him in Petrischule School in the year 1885. He was the only Jew in his class. He was enrolled into 2nd grade. His teachers were liberal with him, but the feeling of him being an outsider was inherent in them. Because of his Jewish origin, his classmates also never talked much to him. In fact, they used to bully him. Hence, Albert understood very early in his life that Christians did not like Jews at all. The feeling of him being an outsider was ingrained in him. He always liked solitude right from his childhood. Even when his uncle Jacob's children, his cousins, used to visit him, he never used to play much with them. Never playing before finishing homework used to be his speciality, because of which his cousins used to tease him and gave him a nickname, Goody Good. His hard work did pay dividends when he topped his 2nd grade. On the other hand, he never had any fascination with physical fitness, but this never meant that any physical activity tired him. He was more interested in metal construction and train sets. But the point to be noted here is that he always hated any kind of violence. So much so, he never liked playing with a toy soldier. He was diametrically opposite to his peers. who used to dream of being a soldier. He even went to the extent of saying in public while watching a parade that he did not want to end up like these poor souls. But ironically, his likes and dislikes did not make any difference to his country. Military drills started in his school, which he just did not like. What made things even worse was that he was asked by his teachers to like his sergeant. When Einstein was 9.5 years, he completed 3 years of his elementary education. He had to shift to another school to continue his education. They used to call these schools gymnasium. He joined Luitpold Gymnasium in the year 1988. It was not too far off from his old school. The special feature of this school was that it did not just concentrate on humanities. It focused on science and mathematics too. Hence, it earned a lot of reputation among parents. When Einstein joined, there were mere 684 students in it, but by the year 1894, it had amassed 1,334 students. Majority of the students were Catholic and only 5% of the students were Jews. Apart from him, there were only 2 other Jews in his class. The classes in this school were always full. Around 50-60 students used to be there in every class. Einstein was known as a bright and studious student. This may sound weird to many of the listeners because very often we heard that he was not good at studies during his school days, but he became a scientist. This story used to be told to parents of kids who were not good at studies so that they do not lose hope. The rumor was that he was poor at spiritual subjects. This story started spreading when he was still alive. The interesting fact about this is that he did not object to this rumor either. He just used to laugh these rumors off. But this rumor did not invoke laughter among everyone. The new principal of his school or gymnasium, Dr. Wegleitner, was pretty perturbed by this rumor. He thought that the reputation of his school could be tarnished because of this rumor. When he read the news of Einstein being poor in ancient languages, he was dumbstruck, and this made him sift through the old school records of Einstein. He discovered during this frantic search that Einstein was not poor at ancient languages at all. Besides, no teacher ever complained about his studies. On learning this, he immediately wrote a letter to the editor of the newspaper, which carried the news of Einstein being poor in ancient languages. Despite his good show at school, he still considered the days spent during school were the worst of his life. He never badmouthed any of his school, nor did he ever raise voice against it. Rather, he suffered in silence. When he turned 40, he confessed that even though school taught him a lot, but he was always subjugated because of it, and could never really conspicuously blossom. Hence, he had to resort to private studies. This move helped him get better at science and maths, and it also hastened his exit from school. Besides, he found out his second love after mathematics during his primary education at the age of 6, which was music. His father was not particularly happy with his son's new passion, but his mother, who was a highly ranked pianist, was extremely happy with this newfound passion. She saw her music partner in the little Einstein. She immediately hired a violin teacher for him. But when Einstein learned that he has to do everything as per pattern, the passion just faded. According to him, there is hardly any difference in music and military drill. But as he grew up, he tried to sing his tune on his own. He started proper music training from the age of 13. He liked the sonnets of Mozart a lot. His mother loved Beethoven on the other hand. In the meanwhile, when he attained 14 years of age, he had the look of a gentleman. His thought process belied his age. He never indulged in light reading. He used to like being left alone even at that age. He had nothing to do with his classmates or the country which he inhabited. He was always busy with his work and studies. Obviously, such people do not remain famous for too long, more so with people who occupy higher posts. For instance, his teachers themselves used to get annoyed with him. The reason behind the annoyance can be traced to Einstein himself. Albert did not like the way teachers taught. According to him, the teachers used to teach in a way which produced only robots, who could just parrot the lessons. He was of the opinion that only those who have the ability to kindle interest in the student should be made teachers. He could find only one such teacher in his school whose name was Ferdinand Roos. He did not just teach Einstein Latin and Greek, he also taught history and German. He had this unique quality of invoking interest among students. He used to teach subjects in such a way that Einstein, who was not much interested in these subjects, also started taking interest in it. But the rest of the teachers were not of his kind at all. They all preferred following a fixed pattern. Hence, if Einstein ever asked them a question which was not there in the book, they used to get angry with him. When he was in 7th grade, a teacher even went to the extent of saying that Einstein would be good for nothing, and he would not be able to do anything in life. These hurtful lines would not go down well with any young boy, and Einstein was no different. He gave a fitting reply to his teacher and said, having this kind of teacher was absolutely unfortunate, and he would not respect this kind of class or teacher. It was very clear after this incident that he did not want to stay in the school for too long. This time luck was in his favor, and he could change schools thanks to the better financial position of his family. But this happiness of his was on the verge of being spoiled. When he was around 15 years of age, his father's firm got bankrupt and closed. It was a huge blow to the entire family, more so to Einstein, who was leading a peaceful life till then. He never had any special affinity with his country. Closure of the firm turned out to be the final nail. He nurtured a feeling that this country robbed him of everything. He was not having good stint at the school either. His teachers always used to be miffed with him and never helped him. After having seen this, Albert made up his mind to leave his school. He did not take the decision in haste. Rather, he took this decision after giving it a long thought. He got a medical certificate made with the help of his brother, Max Talmon, that he was going through neurasthenic exhaustion and wanted suspension from his school. He could convince his maths teacher, Joseph Ducroux, to give in writing that he attained expertise of abitur level. Abitur level means up to the level of high school. After having completed all the formalities, he shocked his parents by catching a train to Milan. It was a huge thing, even considering the current era. If someone quits school at the age of 15, he or she will not be considered worthy at all. His parents also had a similar thought. They were worried about his future, but he was very happy of having quit the school, for he felt it was blocking his ascendancy. With this, the first chapter of his life gets over. He firmly held the reins of his life. We will see the changes that happened in his life in Milan in the next chapter. We shall see how he proved to everyone that his decision to quit school was right. To know all this and more, stay connected and keep listening to the biography of Einstein. We saw in the previous episode how Einstein quit his school at the age of 15, owing to which he wore the tag of being a school dropout. This was a matter of concern to his parents. They were worried regarding what Albert would do in his life. On top of it, their financial position was also not very good at this point of time when their business was closed. They were surviving purely on their savings, a fact very well known to Albert too. To make his parents believe in him, he bought the first 3 editions of the physics book authored by Jules Violets from a bookstore in Milan. When he told his parents that he would like to study for the entrance exam of Polytechnic as a private student, his parents again started worrying about him. None of his family would believe that he could clear this examination. Honestly, it was very much rational on the part of his family to doubt his ability. Putting ourselves in their shoes, if a child in our family says that he can clear IIT examination in a year on his own, we would certainly laugh it off. Around this time, his uncle Jacob's textile business was growing great guns. Hence, it was decided by the family to send Einstein to Italy to stay with Uncle Jacob, where he can learn the trade along with his studies. This decision was taken to ensure the security of Einstein's future. Just in case he fails to clear Polytechnic entrance, he can always have a livelihood to fall back upon. Going to Italy at that age was indeed very difficult on part of Albert. A child who just lived in 2 cities and in one country, for him to go to a different country altogether was a huge and life-altering move. But the satisfactory thing about the move was that he liked Italy a lot. While preparing for his Polytechnic exam, he was also trying to do odd jobs in a factory in Italy. He was doing these jobs in his uncle's factory itself. Once his uncle needed assistance with regard to the design of the office, he availed the presence of Einstein. Uncle was really influenced by Albert's work. He said the job which would have taken many days for him and his team, Albert could finish it in a trice, within a few hours. This made his uncle think Albert was going to make it big in his future. But he must not have thought in his wildest of dreams that this boy would go on to change the entire face of the science world. At this juncture, Albert was also obsessed with proving himself to the world. He wrote the first essay of his life at that time. This essay was about the examination of the state of the ether in the magnetic field. He wrote this as a part of the entrance examination. It was also aimed at his family to ensure them that he was focusing on his studies. He sent this essay first to his favorite uncle Caesar Koch, who was in Brussels. This essay was of 5 pages length. It explained the non-material relation between electricity, ether, and magnesium. This was an attempt to explain the preparation of electromagnetic wave in a simple language. It is commonly believed that this essay was the cornerstone for his future stunning theories. In the meanwhile, the date of his entrance exam at Zurich drew near. But what baffled Albert and his entire family was that the minimum age to appear for this exam was 18, while Einstein was all of 16 years. This was certainly a matter of concern, but luckily his family could manage to find contacts here as well. A close friend of his family, Gustav Meyer, was a citizen of Zurich. He forwarded Albert's application to the principal of the Polytechnic and introduced Albert as a child prodigy. The principal was initially against the proposition of Albert appearing for the entrance, but after having read the letter written by Albert's math teacher, he permitted Albert to appear for the examination. He came to Zurich in October to appear for the examination. He decided to appear for the entrance examination of the engineering department. His examination started in October and continued for many days. The entrance examination used to be held in a completely different way in those days. There were different subjects in these entrance examinations and used to continue for long. These days, the entrance examinations get over in a day or two. The education system that existed in the olden days was far more difficult compared to the existing one. He had to face disappointment in this examination as he could not get through despite his hard work. But the professor of the college was so impressed with him that he wanted to invite Einstein to attend his physics class. But Einstein heeded the advice of the principal and decided to study in cantonal school and prepare for the Polytechnic examination again. Considering the sharp brain of Einstein, it was decided to admit Einstein in the 3rd year. But when he concentrated on maths and physics, he did not pay much attention to French. Besides, he was found wanting in chemistry and was asked to attend private classes for the same. This resulted in him not being permitted to appear for physical training and music classes. The stunning part of this was Albert was more than happy to do it. He really liked his new school and his new teachers. He said he could know here what it actually means to give freedom in democracy and in education, whereas he was forcibly sent to the physical training classes in Germany. Here he was encouraged to further his interest in the subject of his liking and also in selecting his livelihood. According to him, he experienced freedom in school for the first time. He stayed as paying guest with Wendler family. While his studies were going on, his bonding with the family grew strong and it almost became his second home. He wanted to become a citizen of that country, but an undeniable fact of his life was that he was a citizen of Germany, because of which he could not have citizenship of Italy. Disappointed with this, he started concentrating back on his studies. His efforts bore fruit when he cleared the entrance examination of the Polytechnic in the year 1896. He came to Zurich and resumed his studies. Here he could have a lot of peers. Most of his friends were older to him and came from different places to study here. Initially, he faced a few difficulties in his hostel life, hence he had to change many hostels. He did not like the hostel food, hence he used to buy pastries from a shop or had his meal at his erstwhile landlord's. Wherever he found time, he used to go for an outing and spend time in the hills or lakes. Apart from these, Einstein had a few bad habits too, such as he was very careless about his attire. Besides, he was very forgetful and often forgot bringing important things. Both his teachers and friends were fed up with this habit. A few went to the extent of complaining about it to his father also. Everyone was worried about his future, considering his forgetfulness at an early age. But Einstein's mind was somewhere else. He wanted to acquire as much knowledge about the physical world as he could. He wanted to be a teacher of mathematics. To strengthen his grip on this subject, he was researching these theories. At this stage, many girls came into his life to shift his focus. He also enjoyed spending time with girls. He was often found in the company of girls and he used to win them, bowl them over with his artistry in music. But he never let these distractions come in the way of his professional life. He got 4.91 out of 6 when he completed his course. It was a huge advantage to him, which opened many doors for him. His life took a beautiful turn towards a very bright future. We will learn how Einstein got his first job and how he changed the course of his life. Moving forward in Einstein's biography, we will see how he started his professional career. Einstein always wanted to be a teacher. He wanted to teach students in such a way which he always wished to be taught in. To accomplish this, he did not mind occupying a small position. Sadly, he could not get this opportunity despite his earnest trials. He returned to his parents like any other unemployed youth. Though he was disappointed with this, but he did not lose his confidence. The moment he returned to Zurich, he applied for a post of assistant to a maths teacher in a school. But he also discussed his knowledge in physics in the application, because of which his application was rejected. Luck smiled at him when he was appointed as the director of the Swiss Federal Hospital. After getting this appointment, he hastened the formalities regarding the change of citizenship. The moment he saw the prevailing environment in Switzerland, he was very much attracted. Hence, he wanted to change citizenship and he had been saving 20 francs right from his student life. His efforts were rewarded in the year 1901 when Swiss officials approved of his citizenship application. He also liked Switzerland because the Swiss appeared kinder to him compared to the Germans, and there was no military rule in Switzerland, unlike Germany. There was democracy in Switzerland. People enjoyed greater freedom there. He had to quit his job in Germany and found it very difficult to get a job in Switzerland. His job application was rejected at 3 different places, which disappointed him a lot. He started feeling he committed a major mistake, and right at this time, a miraculous thing happened which one can also describe as one of those games that destiny plays. A need for a maths teacher was there for 2 months in a technical school which he grabbed with the help of his old professor. This appointment of his lasted from 15th May to 15th July. No drastic changes happened during this time. The moment the original teacher returned, he had to vacate the post and look for a new job. But this time he got lucky and he learned that there was a vacancy for a teacher in a school that was located at the border of Switzerland. He immediately applied for the job and within a few days he got the job. He got this job thanks to contacts. He got it on the recommendation of one of his classmates. This job was a huge boon to him. He could have money in his pocket and at least he could lead an easy life for a few months. The rules of this school were too stringent and because of this, he could not stay there for long. But the silver lining in this was he started working on his PhD here. He prepared thesis on kinetic theory of gases, which he sent to Zurich University for approval. Simultaneously, he sent an application for Scale 2 of Swiss Patent Department, in which he wrote about his education and job experience. He also wrote how he stayed in Switzerland from a very tender age. Albert had to wait for a long time for getting a response. He was called for an interview in which patent literature was placed before him. They wanted to see his version on the data shared with him and to decide whether he can be hired or not. After having heard his version, the interviewers not only gathered that he was the requisite knowledgeable person, they were simply awestruck by him. They hired him as a Scale 3 technical expert, as opposed to Scale 2. His annual remuneration was fixed at 3,500 francs. With this, he could finally get a stable job in the year 1902, which he always strived for. He had to shift again to a new city. This city was different from Zurich, as many as 3 rivers flowed from 3 different directions. It took 2 more years for his job to become permanent. 2 years later, in the year 1904, he got promoted and there was an increase of 400 francs. But his cadre continued to be that of Scale 3. Thanks to his team leader, Haller, who was of the opinion that Einstein did not have adequate knowledge by then. Albert was not disappointed with this, rather he focused on his work, which satisfied Haller to a great extent. Now the certainty of his life pleased Albert a lot, and he wanted to lead a peaceful life thereafter. He started contemplating marriage. We shall dwell on how Einstein dealt with his personal and professional life in the next episode. We shall also see how he came up with his stunning discovery. To learn all this and more, keep listening to Cuckoo FM. Though Albert was happy with his promotion, he wanted to do something big. He started searching for opportunities in the field of teaching. He did not hide this fact from anyone in his office either. In the meanwhile, he released his 3 research papers. One of these 3 even fetched him the prestigious Nobel Prize 16 years later. All this while he had a simple, ordinary life. He used to stay in a small room at the beginning of his professional career. He used to walk his way to the office. Apart from this, he had very few friends. His deep focus on his work was also one of the reasons behind it. After his work, he started searching for new things, within his heart too. Understanding his work was not possible on the part of a normal human being. His first research paper fetched him fame across the world, but it had nothing to do with his iconic theory of relativity. This research paper was about Brownian motion, which binds the atoms of liquid together. This research paper forced scientists to think. He wrote 6 research papers from 1901 to 1906, out of which he considered 2 as amateur attempts. The entire world was impressed with his research papers, but Einstein was not very happy with his work. To be able to do work of this magnitude, one needs to think freely. To refresh his mind, he used to go on long walks on Sundays. He used to take a few of his students along with him on these walks. Einstein impressed one and all by this time, and people also liked his voice. He used to create a terrific ambience during discussions. Hence, people used to listen to him with great attention and try to understand him. Amid all this, his father had an untimely death in the year 1902. Albert felt lonely after his father's death, and this prompted him to make up his mind to get married. He married an ordinary girl, Mileva Maverick. This decision of his shocked people who knew him because there was nothing special about Mileva, and his parents were also dead against it. Only her voice was sweet, and very often they used to have tiffs with each other. Albert never complained against this to anyone. When someone asked him about his wife, he told them that she was busy cleaning the dirt and cobwebs at home. After Mileva's arrival, his professional life went on smoothly because he did not have to worry about his home. His life partner used to handle everything. They started living in a small apartment after their marriage. Even at this juncture, his forgetfulness did not subside. He used to forget keys and the likes. The couple had a son in the year 1904. The couple was just not getting on well with each other. He was completely busy with his work while his wife stayed home alone with their kid. His life had lots of ups and downs during the years 1903 and 1905. He gave final touch to his theory of relativity during this period. Despite coming up with so many theories, the world of science was still not taking him seriously. But this did not dim his confidence at all. He presented his new theory, quantum theory, according to which light proceeds further with the help of protons. He even came up with a mathematical formula called Planck constant to explain the same. As soon as this theory was published, it created quite a stir amongst scientists. Famous scientist Planck refused to accept this theory. Such opposition was nothing new to Albert, for his theories always made revolutionary breakthroughs. This was by far the most revolutionary theory, not just for him, but for the entire world. Amid all these rumors, he started tasting success in the year 1905. The owner of the newspaper in which this theory was published was really impressed. Albert was a simple man, and he was considered a fool in his class. He could not attain much success during his academic career, and he got a stable job after a lot of struggle. Anyone who gets to know this was surely going to be impressed with his success and hard work. A professor of Poland even went to the extent of terming him another Copernicus, as a result of which his theory of relativity started appearing valid to people. But on the other hand, people constantly challenged his theory. When a man plants a sapling, waters it and helps it grow, and also sees the same going through storms, Einstein's theory also weathered quite a few storms. People of the science fraternity started calling this theory valid. On the other hand, the detractor constantly challenged it, giving rise to a big controversy. It was decided to test it in the lab, but in those days, the labs were not equipped with enough infrastructure to let people make a correct experiment. The people in his office were also very curious to know the validity of the theory. In the year 1906, people could not resist it any longer and they sat in his office. A writer called Lev was very excited to meet Einstein and he did meet him at his home. He had a chat with Einstein but could not get the answers to his queries. A lot of people started using his theory and some even went to the extent of using it to find the truth behind the universe. Many students started using it in their exams and also in their school. Though teachers did not agree with this theory, they could not prevent students from using it. They just used to advise them to talk to Einstein if they had any trouble. This resulted in a flurry of letters to Einstein's residence. A student called Lamb met Einstein at his residence, whom Einstein helped a lot. He even advised Lamb to be bold and also gave him some money to work with him. But this did not last long, for Lamb got an opportunity to work under Leonard. Einstein got a letter from Professor Kleinor offering an opportunity to be his deputy. This was a big thing for Einstein, as he always was keen on teaching, and this time the opportunity fell in his lap. Obviously, he could not say no to this opportunity. Call it luck or destiny. Whenever good times came his way, it came in abundance. Professor Kleinor was excited about having Einstein as his assistant. He even went to the extent of procuring a job for him at Bern University, which was close to Einstein's patent office. This meant he could work both at his office and also in the university. But had everything gone so smoothly, he would not have become so famous. In the next episode, we will get to know about yet another twist to Einstein's life and how he handled it. When we look at Einstein's life, it appears simple. But from another angle, it appears to have gone through many hurdles. If we consider his dream of being a teacher, he could only teach from 1908 to 1909. In the first year, there were only 4 students and only 1 student in the next year whom he used to teach in his cabin. His dream of becoming a teacher was unsuccessful. He continued his research during this time and he got an opportunity to work with Minkowski of Germany. Minkowski was born in Russia and he even taught Albert at a time. When he taught Albert, he felt Albert was a weak student who never concentrated on mathematics. Thanks to Minkowski, his theory of relativity got stronger. Both worked on research together till 1908, but Minkowski fell seriously ill in the year 1909 and he died at the age of 44. He was so dedicated to his work that even during his last moments, he rued the fact that he could not work anymore on the theory and was also sorry about the fact that he would not be around to see the theory being put into use. In the year 1909, Einstein got a chance again. This was a successful year for him, in which he got a chance to go to Geneva. He had the opportunity to celebrate 350th anniversary of its foundation. The proposal to give him honorary doctorate was also mooted. He was felicitated through Madame Curie. On his return, a physics expert, Mr. Rudolf Lednuberg, came to meet him. It was decided that Albert would go to Salzburg to deliver his speech. Immediately on reaching Salzburg, he got an opportunity to speak in the presence of learned people such as Planck, Wien, Rubens, and Sommerfeld. And while he was being inspired by the presence of such learned men, they were equally impressed with Einstein. Einstein was very happy with his speech and spent a holiday at a nearby beautiful place. This vacation refreshed his mind and he started thinking afresh. He decided that he will not do the reading and writing stuff anymore at his office and shall concentrate completely on his studies. In the year 1908, a post was created at the Physics University in Zurich and Professor Kleinor made up his mind to appoint Einstein to that post. Another story ran parallel to this. One of Einstein's classmates, Frederick Adler, son of Victor Adler, who founded the Socialistic Republic Party in Australia, knew that if his son stayed back with him, he would get mired in politics. Hence, he sent his son to Switzerland to study physics. But politics exists everywhere, and it was pretty much prevailing in the university too. In Zurich, many of the board members were socialists. This impacted the selection, and Adler was appointed to the newly created post. But Albert did not get disappointed with it. When Adler learned that Einstein was supposed to occupy this post, he tried to convince the board that having him on this post would be a matter of honor to the university. When all these things happened, Einstein was called to Zurich and his joy knew no bounds. It was almost as if a child got his favorite chocolate after demanding it for a long, long time. He immediately resigned from his job, which shocked Haller, but he did not try to dissuade Einstein from going. He knew the office was not going to be affected by Einstein's exit, and he also knew how important this new job is to Einstein. He was supposed to be paid 4,500 francs for the new job which he was already getting in his existing job. This sum of money was rather insufficient in the new city, but Albert was not affected by any of these things. He just was very excited about his new job. We will see how Einstein and his family found a foothold in this new city and what new challenges were ahead of them in our next episode.